Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us exploring Scotland. And today we've come to Newtyle. Today we're joined by the channel DJ again folks, but we've come to Newtyle, and this is actually an old railway line that we're on today. And an interesting thing about Newtyle, it had the oldest railway in Scotland, the oldest steam railway. 1830s it was built. And 2 points on the old railway line, it used to be pulled up a hill from like an engine shed. They used to winch the train up the hill, because back in those days, the trains they were using couldn't get up the lie of the land, it was too steep. But another cool feature which we're going to look at first is an old railway turntable, where the trains would have gone onto it and then it would have spun them around aiming to whichever line they needed to go up. Because there's a railway line at the other side of the football pitch as well, and both the lines go down to the same point at the turntable. But there is a main goods station in Newtyle. We'll probably walk past that in this video, but also there probably was a station down here too where the turntable is, where they would have been getting the trains like sorted out and ready to go whatever direction they were going. The original line to Newtyle came from Dundee, and it came through a tunnel at the Law Hill. And the reason they had the line here was so they could easily export the goods from the rich farmland around here down to the city and the port at Dundee. And it was like an early time for all that stuff. And then in the 1860s it was redeveloped, and I think there was a new line brought to Newtyle, a different route. But yeah, it's pretty cool history folks. Today we're going to show you all the history that's left here to do with the railway at Newtyle. So let's get into the adventure.
It's a circle, right enough.
Look at this folks, I think we've found the turntable. We've not even come far up this path, but look, it's hard to see the remains, but look, it is a circle. And look, it's got these square bits at the side of it. Wow. Check it out folks, this is a cool piece of railway history. You can imagine the train engine coming onto here and then getting turned around, and then like it's hard to see now from the amount of overgrowth and years it's passed since then, but there would have been trains coming on here. It's hard to see from which angle, but there has been a line going up that way for sure, but it looks like it's continued on down there. Let's look at the detail of this here folks. See, there's like this circular stone wall around the outside, and like I'm imagining the railway, like trains must have entered for a certain area, but look, it steps down in, and there must have been a mechanism in here for barreling it.
I don't know if there's missing bits or if it's meant to be a step there.
Yeah, and then do you think there was something in the middle to drive it? Look at this. There's a stone in the middle.
Look.
Oh, here we go folks. Real history right here. In the centre point of this circle. I've never seen this before in my life folks. Check it out. That must have been part of the mechanism there where this whole turntable pivoted. Oh look, here's another one.
Oh look, you just a step on another one.
Look at this folks, they're just all the way around here. Yeah. In the centre. So do you think here there's been something more? Probably at one time there's been a big cast iron hub.
Yeah.
With a big bearing assembly or something. Maybe there was bits that could go down. That bit there, that's maybe where they went down to maintain the wheel. That bit we came down's kind of stepped out at the side. It's strange acoustics when you sit down. It's like almost it's echoing back. There you go folks, that's so cool to find that. Like original threads sticking out of the ground. Crazy. And look at the size of it too again. Probably all this was removed and scrapped at one time. It's just old rail history getting forgotten. This was such a main hub of the railway at that time. And now it's just a desolate forest.
Overgrown.
forgotten next to a little Scottish village here. So there we go, folks. What a cool start to the video. Bit of history like this with these threads sticking out of the ground where the massive mechanism must have been mounted. And then this incredible stone structure. Well, 1833 the first line was brought to Newtyle, but all this mechanism could have been later in the history.
So we're probably still talking over 100 years old.
Yeah, 1860s probably. It probably came up here when they redeveloped the Newtyle Railway in the 1860s. It's quite windy if I'm up above the height of that. There's proper snow and stuff now for this adventure as well, folks, but we're just going to try and document all the railway history that's left here. This looks to me like they've maybe had a railway side in here, so the main lines have been running, and then they've probably had switches with points so they could bring the trains out and then turn them around and then load them back on the line through the point system. So there was probably little buildings to control a lot of stuff, but at that time it could have also just been little wooden buildings up here, or metal sheds now, which is gone. Because if they've gone to bother of clearing out like the turntable, you can just imagine they'll have definitely wiped out anything else that was in this area. And it is crazy, folks. It's just like an overgrown wilderness with this massive stone structure in the middle of it. It's insane. Hundreds of years old. Scottish history, folks. Documenting it right here on the channel. And it's always cool to keep exploring all these like new things. I was here like years ago for a walk and that, but like I've never documented it properly and had a look at the details of the history. See this here, it's got a bit cut out and it's like it's maybe had a grid or a mesh. But I wonder if this is where they could have come down and then accessed underneath if they needed to maintain or like lubricate the system of the turntable. It's crazy just to imagine the old steam trains rattling up and down here. Yeah, this building here, folks, on the left up there is the old station where the original line came into Newtyle and the trains went inside the building. But we're away to hold on up this path here and hopefully do the old railway loop path, because I'm sure it was the 1860s that redeveloped the railway in Newtyle. The wind's whistling down the street though, folks. You can see the church in the distance, and I'll update you once we're further on. Look at this, folks, we're now on the path which takes you up past this incredible old church. It's a big tower. It says it's 7:15 right now, but it's not. The clock's not working. Yeah, ancient graves here. 1846, folks. It's a nice little village here, just set behind these hills. Killarney Tower's up on that hill behind the village, folks. I've been there on previous videos. It's a cool little spot down here. And yeah, it's always cool to keep exploring these new places. Like, I've never been here on a video. But yeah, shout out to all the Newtyle viewers if anyone's watching. Get in the comments. Look at this old sign here, or like old light, or whatever this is.
Yeah.
Look at that, folks, that cast iron piece right there. And then look, here's the sign. Bannatyne Path. Railway loop path. 200 metres on left. I think that's the path we're going to go to. We're going to explore some old railway history, folks. Some of these gravestones are ancient at this bit of the graveyard. It looks like they've got incredible stained glass windies as well. This is incredible, folks. Channel DJs just noticed 1603.
See the one?
Oh, aye.
It's the very top.
Wow.
1603.
That is insane, folks. 1603, the stone in there, like. Look at this old stone here as well, the skull and crossbones. Look, 1715.
That's like
1715, folks. Like, think how long ago that is. ancient history. Even 1603 though, it's like mind-blowing history, folks. But it's not just one or two, it's like an ancient area, this. Maybe there was an old chapel or kirk here even before this massive church, like. But it looks really well kept. It's even got the weather vane up on the top. Look at this, folks. It's got all these rare stone, like crypts or whatever, or areas. Must have been families, wealthy families in the area, maybe bought a better plot like that. Look at this view, folks. Just out of Newtyle, we've come past the church, and now we're blessed with this scenery. Looking up towards Kilparney Tower on the hill. It's incredible. And it looks like they've had a lot of trees down. There's a cool forwarder and stuff sitting in here. It's a nice little area. It sounds like there's some water running there ferociously. Yeah. It's maybe been some old like farm mill. It's a nice area, this, folks. But you can see in front of us where the train line came in for Dundee, and it crossed right in front of us and went down this way. And there's some cool old railway like features and stuff. If we take a right at the top of here, there's some cool stuff, folks. Never seen before on the channel. It's always cool to keep exploring new places for these videos. Something like this, it's unseen. We don't even know what is round the corner. And when there's views like this, it makes it worth it. There is like an ice cold wind today, folks, but it'll be okay once we get walking further up here, I think, so it'll be more sheltered. Look at this, folks. There's a random hammock here at the side of the path, and then look, some wooden seats. This must be like a chill out area or something for people. It's funny how there's a hammock there though. Oh, there's some wooden mushrooms here, folks. This is like some crazy stuff. There's an old railway bridge. This is the Dundee line to Newtyle coming down here. Or it's the line that goes to Dundee anyway. Whether it stops at Newtyle, I'm not sure. We'll know a lot more about it once we explore. But check these out, folks. Crazy. It's cool they've got little stuff like that just dotted about. At one time it would have been a steam train rattling down this way. Probably carrying a lot of goods and probably passengers and stuff to and from Dundee. Maybe people that worked on the farms. Look how saturated this is here, it's just about totally flooded. This is a cool bridge here, folks, it's worth having a look. It's always interesting to see what's left for like the railway period. 1800s, it's crazy what they built, and they built it, over-engineered it, and it's still standing to this day. And what a view, like through the trees here over Newtyle, it's just insane. Look at this, folks, it's an ancient bridge. Just look how narrow it was, and check how much metal they've used. That's a solid plate of metal there at each side. Wow. It's cool how, like, that's in good condition for its age. It's obviously been farm access that's gone under here at one time. It's crazy though how much of that is still there. Look at that, folks, there's actually a steady stream of water, but all that snow is melting up there. But yeah, that's crazy, folks. Railway history, and just check how many rivets is here. There must be big beams under here, and all this is just onto it. Oh aye, look at this, folks. So much history just under your feet. Yeah, the whole structure is just solid, but then it also incorporates into the stones at the edges. Look at it, folks, it's cool. It is cool, folks. Look at that beam under there. That was probably built around the same time as the one that we walk under at Bodden quite often. It looks the same construction, but it looks actually in better condition. Yeah, this bridge here survived so well. The stones at that side are starting to part, but the old engineering, it's so cool to see what they did back in the day. Wow, so much work just abandoned and then left here. The more days that pass, the more history like this can often get lost. It's cool to video it. Whoa, these adventures are epic, folks, finding places like this. Check it out for this side. You can see where they've painted it and stuff, probably maintaining it over the years. Look at that, folks. Crazy history. This is insane. Look at that old iron post right there. That's like what we saw when we were looking at like the Den Finale Railway and stuff. It's the same sort of way they do it. Oh aye. An old beer bottle or something in there. Also, there's some interesting old graffiti at that side. We can't see a year or anything, but somebody's scratched in. It looks ancient. And literally we're just up the hill behind Newtyle. It's insane. This bridge has got so much character. Anyway folks, on with this railway adventure. Till the next little nugget of history that we find. It's always different when you find these like railway bridges. There's not really two of them the same. Look at this now, folks. We've come into this hollow in the ground and you can see how much they've dug out at one time for the railway coming down through the land here. It would have been Dundee from that direction and then it would have been coming on down, and I think it curled back round to the Newtyle like turntable area, or it may have gone on to the Meagle direction. I'm not sure of the full layout of the place, but you can see the original drainage channels at the side there are still flowing with water, and this would have been the main railway line here. But I think the further down here you come, the more impressive it gets, because they've literally like blasted into the rock and then built up foundations for the railway, and it's all just still here. It's an incredible railway scene, an abandoned railway scene. There's so much water flowing off these fields up here, but when you consider how far they've dug into the ground at this point, it's understandable. And that bridge we saw a minute ago is up there and like round the corner slightly. So from that point the train's just been dropping in altitude as it came round here. They've probably been off the throttle, letting it coast down. Whoa, like there's just a serious amount of water running down here for the field. It's like coming to a jungle or something, folks. It's insane how much water's running down here. And when they built all this railway section, they took all that into consideration. Because you can see the bit we are standing on is a solid foundation, and all the way around the corner, maybe they had trouble with the ground subsiding, and that's how they've built it up to the extreme. Oh, the square stones and stuff here. See, there could have been signals and stuff warning them of the dodgy bit they're about to come up against. Oh aye folks, look, there's big, proper big stones. Look at this. This old tin bucket has been shot. Look at it folks, the pellet holes in it. Or it could have been hit with a shotgun. Whoa, the camera's caught on a spiky bush, folks. Look at that there. Insane history. These big square stones have been built here at one time. Oh aye. It is interesting, like, such a long time ago in history, all this, every year more greenery and stuff grows over it and dies, and it just covers it all up. It was probably built here to stop the ground subsiding onto the track. But you can see why, it's quite a wet area. There's just tons of stones the whole way down. It could be natural bedrock as well in places. That's what this looks like over here. Yeah. Insane, folks. Yeah, look at this here. It's like a cliff face. Yeah, they must have dug it and blasted it out. Yeah. And then it's cool how the little ditch is still down the side of it. It was probably the same thing at both sides. Sometimes trees like that can grow because the seeds get washed down and deposited in the little drainage ditch at the side. And that just shows you the amount of years that's passed since this was a railway. These trees have had time to grow. And look how much work they've done here. So the amount of construction around here, folks, is just insane for the railway back in the day. Look at these cliff faces. They must have blasted it and cut them away. Oh aye, you can actually see they've made it like that's an edging right there with a metal support, and then look, like railway sleepers, and that's the whole way down here. And then this side's been supporting the track bed, and they would have had like a hardcore gravel here with a track on it, just like a modern day railway pretty much. But then they always had so much water flowing down here that just shows it's an original feature. And I wonder if it's been the same at this side, but now it's just been filled in by the greenery. You can tell, folks, by the snow. That's the temperatures we're dealing with on this adventure. But literally, the scenery here is just like a jungle. And look at the way this cliff face is up there where they've blasted it, and then they've built this just to strengthen it. It's a serious amount of work. I would say we're like 85 foot down from the fence line up there, the original ground height. And look how they've blasted down into the bedrock. It's insane. Wow. Look at the size of this tree. It's probably grown since the railway was abandoned, and it's a massive tree. It must have been cool to be on a train coming down a place like this. If it blew its whistle, it would be echoing up out of the valley. Look at the size of this pipe. From the stonework, that looks like an original feature here. Maybe when the railway was in its prime, and this has definitely been something here. Look at this here, folks. This is insane. Look at the amount of work that's been done at that particular point. Is that bedrock right there? See, look, there's a wall built right on the top of that bedrock. It might have been a weak bit in the land and they've had to go to the extreme there to support it. So look at the height of the cliffs and stuff here. Not unless there's been something up here though, because look, there's a metal piece going across the top here.
I'm thinking a bridge.
Maybe. Wow, folks. Oh, look at that. An ancient piece of graffiti. Look, JI is scored in, or JT it might be. Wow. And then look at this, you can still see where the wooden beam is along the side for the water to run off. This whole thing is just pouring with water. It's cool to find historic graffiti for a time gone by, folks. It could have even been one of the railway workers. Maybe there was a stone there or something that they stood at waiting for the train to pass. Because it would have been an insane bit. And look, there's water running through this pipe. Is this a pipe up here? This is crazy, folks. Oh, aye, now we can see the other channel. Yeah, or it's like... Yeah, maybe this channel didn't go the full distance. It's hard to know. Maybe they even had it piped under so it like relieved more of the water. This is literally like coming to another world right now, folks. Like, I don't understand, there must be a pipe up there or something, because it looks like the water's just coming out of the beam above the path. And the land's just wild here at each side. So just picture the old steam train, folks, hurtling round this corner towards us. Must have been a crazy experience back in those days. This would have been a main connecting line, and it probably like helped so many folk out getting to their work and stuff, or getting goods and exporting stuff to the cities. Probably saved a lot of long journeys on horses and stuff back in those days. I can't believe the way the moss is on all these rocks. It's just insane. And this must be a water pipe. But look at it, folks. The water pipe has been breached. It's leaking. See, at one time this could have been related when steam trains needed filled up with water. Because that looks like as old as the railway.
Yeah.
But if there's
it's been built, look.
Yeah. This is an interesting feature here. Wow, folks. What are we dealing with right here? That's an insane amount of water dropping out of there. Look at that. Right now, we're in a jungle waterfall. And it'd be really interesting to see up the top of there. Wow, just look at the way the bricks and stuff's built alongside the rock faces around this area. It's a crazy scene. This is epic, folks. See a spot like this? It's just like, honestly, coming to a different planet. With the water coming down through that ancient abandoned looking pipe there. It's got like rivets in it with like metal sheeting. The same way we saw rivets in that bridge, and then like there's some old like oil drum balancing on top of the cliff right there. And I don't know if that was a way of like, I don't know if that was a way of them transferring water at one time for the old steam trains. Yeah, this tree is just like,
I was going to say, do you think that's growing that way because it's of the water?
maybe. It's insane. It's a crazy scene down here. Look at the ivy in the water with all that land in. Crazy, folks. Oh, look at this. This tree's half fallen over. Oh, aye, the wood. Oh, no way. Look how soaked all this is. This is insane. Real adventures, folks, once again on the channel. Like, it's crazy the routes we'll have to go sometimes, but like to see all this, it's so worth it. Look, there's some ancient like holes and stuff going away in there. I don't know if it was to help the water drain from like behind the structure. You can actually see though that ancient pipe up there disappears up there. It'd be interesting just to see what is going on up there. I just can't believe this scene today, folks, on the video. And it's so cool that I can share it with the world, because like, it's just such a mind-blowing location. And like, to think it's man-made from a time gone by when they were building up the British railway system, it's like, it shows you the amount of work they went to, even for one little spot like this. It's just solid rock here. Look at the way all these ferns and mossy bushes is just like growing here. That's what adds to the character of a place like this. Look at all these midges. I don't even know if it comes out on the camera. Swarm of midges right there, folks. I can't believe how sheer these cliff faces are here. On a day like this, you can really see how much water can run to, because it is kind of drizzling the rain now. After we went to the railway turntable, the rain came on heavy, but we just waited it out for a couple of minutes, and now it is a better day again. Down in the hollow here, it's perfect out of the wind. Look at this cliff here, the way it's built up. It's almost like you can see the lines going through the stones. Insane. Wow, what an area. It would have been a single train line coming down here. Look at this. It's all been like built up. This looks more recent. They've maybe tried to like control it if it's been getting eroded away here. Maybe they do maintain it at a more recent time, because it is like a proper footpath. Look at the way the water comes out below that stone. There's like no waterfall, and then boom, the waterfall just starts right there. Look at this, folks, there's another waterfall running out halfway down the rocks. It's an insane land here. And like this whole bit of land has been like one of the craziest places that I've explored for ages. It's like mind blowing to see the land. I always say it on videos, but it's like you get awestruck often by what you see, and like the magnitude of the work that went in to make this railway is just insane. It's like a jungle or something in Madagascar, but it's like literally. Yeah. Look at that, folks. The water just coming out of all the cracks in the rock right there. Insane. Look at this, folks, the way this tree starts down here, and look, it's right through the stone. It's insane, because it's quite a big tree. Like, I don't know if that comes out on the camera, the way it's like the stones within the tree, it's just crazy. And it's just right next to this old bridge, which is a feat of engineering. It must have been for a farmer or something to access. Here, look, it's narrow. It must be a footbridge. Look at this, folks, wow. I've never seen a bridge this narrow with this sort of construction. That is insane. The rain has now come back on, folks, so I do apologise if there's any like water on the lens. I'll just keep drying it to the best of my ability here. Look at this, folks, we're now at the top of this little footbridge, and look, here's another one of these old cast iron fence posts that you see. And look, this sign here says the road and picked a stone. Yeah. Oh, it's got the wee hinge bracket if I back in the day. Look how the crude dry-stone dyke meets up with the stone wall of the era. This would have been built by the railway probably for like people maybe from Newtyle used to access, because there is still a path across the field there. Yeah, and it says Newtyle, the village is that direction, but interesting, folks. Let's head over and see what this looks like. It's cool to see stuff like this, 'cause, like, I've never seen, like I've said at the bottom of here, I never have seen a bridge built like this just for pedestrians. It is cool, folks. I think sometimes these were for picking up the stones when they were like moving them about and constructing the bridges, because a lot of the railway bridges I've seen have got those like marks in the stones. It's cool. Check this cast iron pole there too. That's always a sign of the railway when you see those poles. Could do. Look at this, folks. The edge of the bridge. What a scene. Rail history. It's cool to see some new history like through the railway era. Seemingly there's a picked of stone along here, folks, so we're just debating on whether to walk along, have a look. Whoa, look at the mud here, I'm just walking right into it. Look at this, folks. It turns out the Pictish Stone is like 3 miles that way, folks, and because it's raining you can actually drive pretty much near it, so we'll keep that for another video. We'll stay on this Newtyle railway line and go back down, see what we see, folks. It's a spontaneous adventure as always on this channel, and it's cool to keep just finding stuff that we didn't even know was there. This little bridge, check it out, what a character it's got. The way the railway's been cut in though, it's just a crazy feat of engineering. And this area at Newtyle is one of the most incredible bits I've seen. the way it's been blasted into the rock and built. There's no area like that around here or anywhere that I've explored. Look at this, folks, this is where the trains were hurtling round, and the other end of this railway, this is the one that came in the 1860s. It was improved and brought around this side of Newtyle, and the other end of it goes to that section where we were at the start of the video and the railway turntable is. So it is cool to see like the different railways. The other one originally in the early days had come straight through Newtyle at the old station, whereas the later one had curved around, and they had gone to the work of digging all that out, and it's just such a feat of engineering. It's so cool to explore it and see it. It's like wow. And if anybody's in the Newtyle area, it's definitely worth coming to see it for yourself, because often the video doesn't do it full justice. The way the water's running down into that hollow, just blasted out. And it's cool often just to see little nuggets of history for the railway era. Imagine how it was back in the day. It was a crucial artery of human transport in that era, and it was vital for the local community. It probably built up the village of Newtyle. And the way it was dug out back there, you can see now at this stage they've had to build it up. They were always having to build it up or dig it out. It's crazy. Look at this, folks, this is the old bridge here, which is still the current like main road, but Newtyle's that way. And then where do you get to? I think that takes you like the Blairgowrie direction and stuff like that. And this is the old stone bridge you still drive under to this day, folks. Because sometimes in places like on the other road, the bridges have been taken away and it's just stones at the side. But like, see how high they've had to build from the lie of the land here. Like, this is built up literally like 70 foot, maybe more. Look at this, folks, I just found an old bolt, and that looks like the same as the ones that you see in the bridge earlier in the video. And it's crazy to think that was thrown down at the side of the rail, maybe back in the day, because where else would it have come from way back? It would have probably held the track down onto the railway, onto the big sleepers, the wooden sleepers. And like, literally it is crazy. It is about 50 or 60 foot up. I was a bit extreme with my exaggeration earlier when I said 80 foot, as the channel DJ pointed out. But it is an insane height of ground that they've built up when you consider the land at both sides. And like, what a spot this is right here.
You can tell why they built this here, eh?
You can just see how much though, like that's all that gravelly stuff. Solid. And even to this day it's still standing strong and level here. It's a feat of engineering, like.
They built it solid for the weight and the steam train and all the good for it.
Yeah. But like nowadays, a lot of the time when they build stuff, it ends up just kind of going all like wonky and after a few years. Look at this, it's like there's been a sheep or something eaten here by a fox. So that's no snow this time, folks, that's all fluff. It's like there's been a dog eating. Maybe been the Black Panther, folks. Here we are, folks, another historical wonder of the Newtyle Railway adventure. And just check it out. This is another one of these stone bridges. Whoa, look how high up we are. That's insane. And it is cool the way they've built it with the curving wall here at the side. Yeah, the old bridge stands the test of time, folks. That's the path that takes you to Newtyle. That's the edge of the village. And then there's another path called the Water Backy path, folks. Look at this, folks. It is insane. I love to hear look over the top. Wow. Crazy old stonework. Oh, there's an old metal gate down there. We're going to come and have a look underneath, folks. Insane. Ancient gate. It's probably been there since trains used to come over the top of this. And there is a proper stair. There's quite a cool path network around Newtyle, and I suppose this old railway helps with that. The paths all circumnavigate the little village, and on a stormy kind of wintry day it is good to be sheltered in areas like that. This is insane, folks, check it out. Little stairway down the side of this hill. And look at this, walking into history, folks. Wow. When all this was first built and it was all fresh, it must have been such a crazy time to be around. The country back then could be proud of its like achievements, and it had so much to show. It was the Industrial Revolution in this country, and so many inventors and key folk of that era were from Scotland. And we had such a great network for like our industry. And this was like connecting agriculture with the city. Let's take a closer look at this stonework, folks, and this old gate. I think this gate would be original to the age of the bridge. Oi! We'll have a good echo, folks. See, even these stones have got the bit, and I think it was so they could easily manhandle them off the train carriages of the era. They had like a big caliper system when you picked it up. The heavier the stone, the tighter it gripped it, and it was easy to lift it. They still use stuff like this to this day for certain things. It's cool the way the rocks are just roughly finished there, and then they're more like accurately finished for the arch. Now the water's just dripping down off it. It's real ancient history, folks. Decay. The character of decay sometimes is so cool. And I might get a picture of it from this side. Check that even the wooden post here. Look at the shape of it. So interesting. The detail of that, it's like unreal. Yeah, and even the gate, they didn't just make plain gates back then. They shaped the metal and spent time. They were always proud of their work. So they should have been. Because even to this day we can enjoy it, even though it was built hundreds of years ago. I think it looks like the bricks have been repointed at one time, maybe in the 90s or something. Let's continue this adventure into history, folks. It has been so cool to see this. Even this little bridge, it's got its own historical tale to tell. They probably spent a good month or so making that, I would say, back in the day. Nowadays, if they built a thing like that, it would be like a year-long project. But it is insane, folks. And that turntable that we saw must be around here somewhere. It's hard to gauge. I think there's another main road that takes you to Meagle, so we must have to cross that at some point. This actual waterway will be as old as the railway. Yeah. They must have built this and then put the gravel hardcore over it, eh? Check this out, folks. Insane, folks. It's like a log flume. You could get on a log and come flying through that. It's crazy to think that was built hundreds of years ago. And insane. That path leads off the Blairgowrie direction. I'm not sure where it ends up. That's the same water that was flowing past us when we were in that gorge. Look at this, folks. Further along the path here from the bridge, you can actually see more how the stones had been. These ones have got less mud and stuff through them. So you can just imagine the sleepers sitting on top of that. It's just the same stones that were brought here all those hundreds of years ago. It's like, it's a crazy mark on the land from history. And like, if you see an aerial shot of Newtyle, you can see the old railway coming in, and then this newer railway, which is still ancient. it comes right around the side like a crazy loop through that massive canyon we came through, and then onto this section here, which is just, every little bit of it just looks different, but I'm not sure how far down here we can go. Hopefully it'll take us right back to where we need to go. Right folks, we've followed this railway as far as we can. Now we've come to this blockage in the path and it says private, no public right away, and we're going to hit a cut down through this. It's like a brand new little housing estate here. It's quite a cool spot on the edge of Newtyle, but yeah, that's us off the railway now. So it's insane. I just thought I would update the video and tell you. Yeah, what a cool spot this is. Anything interesting I see on this walk, folks, when we're going through the village, I'll just update you. But we're probably going to get back onto the railway now, because it's mostly just houses and stuff being built on it and private gardens. So. Here's the Newtyle War Memorial, folks, from the Great War and also from World War II. Insane. Stands here on the corner at this little crossroads. This is the main crossroads in Newtyle, and you can see there's a lot of names at this side. That's all the people from this local parish here. Erected by public subscription, and it's quite a cool stone pillar. Excuse me. It's like an obelisk, but it's got some extra little stone features at the top. And here's more names at this side. Cool folks, more local history in this area. And it is quite a cool spot here. That's the same church there that we started at before we went round that railway loop. Look at this folks, this person's selling jars of jam and stuff at the roadside here. If anybody's interested, stop in by here at Newtyle. It's all available. And then there's a cool little shop up here as well that if I'm ever working and I'm needing something to eat at peacetime, when I stop round by here, they always have something decent. It's a good little shop. It's called the Newtyle Post Office, and it's just a little village store. But they have everything you need, kind of if you live in a wee village like this. They've just got a mixture of loads of good things, and they always have some decent pies and stuff. So yeah, it just literally looks like a house, because that's the shop over there. The post office shop. And it's quite an old village, this in Newtyle, and a little place like that's got character. And it just shows you, this is a Sunday and they're open right now. So it's good business folks. If you're ever in the area, get in there for a bag of crisps, mince pie, a can of iron brew. Do they do cheese toasties as well? They do cheese toasties as well folks, as Channel Daisy's just pointing out here. It's just a perfect shop, eh? We're not sponsored in any way. Look at this, there's a Mustang here, 5 litre GT. Shout out all my viewers in America, there's a car they probably see every day in America. Not unless they live in the middle of nowhere. Look at this folks, the rain's just coming back on, but we're pretty much back where we started this adventure. Because the original railway line that came into Newtyle is up this way, where we walked down to the railway turntable. And look, this is the old bowling club. Look at the character of that old building. I'm not sure what this area here is. Looks like it should be a bowling green, but there's no grass there.
Must be the old bowling club.
Could be. I thought it would still be in use. And then unless there's a bowling green over that way, but there's so much new houses and stuff around Newtyle. But yeah, the character of the area is so cool, and today it's been such a cool adventure to come and explore the railway history of Newtyle, and we've seen so much. Maybe if we continued the path on towards Dundee one day, it could be cool. We might see something that we've missed. But yeah, it's been a cool adventure folks. I'll end this one here. thanks very much for watching. Goodbye for me, goodbye for the channel DJ, and we'll see you very soon for the next adventure.